What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the top 10 heroes for free wins under Masters. You see, in the lower ranks of Overwatch, there are certain types of things like, teamwork, cohesion, and the things that, pro players get in spades that dictate their meta, but it doesn't reflect the vast majority of low rank games because there's no peel, there's no teamwork, and there's a much higher emphasis on solo impact. So, as such, we're going to be breaking down 10 heroes that if you learn and master them and can whip these out in your games, you're going to easily get tons of value and be able to carry even the worst of teammates, because that's honestly what you have to do. But go to the GameLeap website right now for in-depth tips and tricks and hero guides over every single hero in the game. So do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Number one of the first character on our list, and we got none other than Tracer. And the reason that Tracer is so good at carrying games is because Tracer is the best example at a completely self-sufficient hero. With Tracer, you have the ability to get solo picks, find opportunities to get tons of impact and carry fights, and do it all without the help of your teammates in any way. Now, that being said, however, it is pretty difficult unless you can hit consistent pulse bombs or one-clip enemies to hard carry without any teammate interaction. However, that is almost never going to be the case. Now, yes, there's going to be a lot of games where your teammates do little, but when they go in and create a little bit of pressure, even if they're feeding, their pressure alone is going to create windows of opportunity for you to make a play off of. Whether that's an enemy tank that takes a whole bunch of damage on the front line and isn't getting enough heal, or an enemy support that took a little bit of damage and is running away to go get heals, whatever the case may be, if you input your value strategically and surgically exactly where you want it to, it doesn't really matter if your teammates are trying to work with you. You're using them as tools to help you get more impact, and if at the end of the day you end up with the 3K and carry your team, I'm sure they're not going to complain. Now, moving on to the next character on our list that is going to get you free wins under Masters, and it's Roadhog. And Roadhog is actually the most played tank right now, and Roadhog is just period one of the hardest carry characters in low ranks, regardless of whatever role you're playing. Now, the big problem that happens a lot of times with Roadhog players is they can't find that fine line between going aggressive and trying to get value and feeding. Now, the thing with Roadhog is what you can and can't get away with directly depends on your opponents, and that seems pretty obvious, right? But with Roadhog, even more so. The difference between an Ana that just only pockets her tanks and just plays in the back and does nothing, and the difference between an Ana that pushes up to sleep you, consistently nades you, or whatever the case may be, that can be night and day, and you need to adopt your playstyle accordingly. The thing you need to do with Roadhog is, if the enemy are not respecting you, then push up aggressively. Go look for these off-angle flank hooks and try to get more value that allow you to get that hook, get that free kill, go back to your team, and then you get that cooldown back, and then go get another one and go get another one. However, if they're going out of their way, positioning too aggressively to try to shut you down, but you're playing just passive enough behind natural cover with your team to where they are putting themselves at a risk, you're still getting tons of value on the front line regardless. So adapting your playstyle is one of the most important things that you could be doing on Hog, period, as there's not one size fits all playstyle that's just gonna work in every single game. Now, moving on to the next character that is going to allow you to climb really easily in the lower ranks is none other than Lucio. And the reason I put Lucio here is because Lucio has so much power level at the lower ranks, especially when the DPS you're up against have really rather poor aim, if I'm being honest, and they can't hit you very easily. And two, Lucio can peel better than just about anyone in the game. You see, being able to save your Ana from someone that's diving on top of her, whether it's a Doomfist or a Tracer or a Genji, that's so much value. Or saving your McCree when he's in a 1v1 duel with the enemy, or getting a Winston off of him. This is value that you can get on Lucio without even knowing a lot of the advanced movement techs and things like that. However, when you slowly start to learn the skill set of Lucio, you're going to be able to do a lot more things that you never thought possible, like make aggressive plays against enemies, 1v1 enemy DPS, all the while still providing that really pivotal speed boost and peeling capabilities. But in the lower ranks in particular, just peeling is honestly so much value, and Lucio's also a great enabler if you're duo queuing with someone like a McCree or rocking with someone like a Roadhog, getting him in and out of combat. There's a lot of different capabilities of Lucio, and he's just a really great character to learn, pick up, and he has a pretty low skill floor with a pretty high skill ceiling, so it's a great character to start start learning at the low ranks and still master at the higher ranks. Now moving on to the next character that we got for you on the list is none other than Reaper, kicking it off our number 4 spot. Now, Reaper is one of those characters that I pretty much suggest in so many videos because I think he's criminally underplayed. Now, with Reaper in particular, you are completely self-sufficient in the fact that you have your own fade, your own get-out-of-jail-free card, and the fact that you get lifesteal, so you don't directly need heals from your allies. On top of that, being able to feast on tanks when the enemy supports aren't paying attention. When the enemy DPS aren't very good at peeling you off, you can sometimes just push up to an enemy monkey or an enemy Ryan or whatever it is, and you can kill them before they get the necessary resources to stay alive. Reaper kind of is one of those characters that just begs to be answered. He just runs around the battlefield, does tons of damage, is self-sufficient, and he leaves this giant question mark to the enemy that says, can you deal with me? Are you going to do something about me? And if they can't, you're just going to dominate. And if they do, maybe you could swap off or learn some of the advanced strategies that we talked about in other videos. But regardless, Reaper is just one of those characters that is really, really good, especially if you're trying to play a couple of different things, can't get value. Go to Reaper. It's almost impossible to not have a baseline of quite a bit of value, and most of the time in the lower ranks you're just going to be able to carry just based on his intrinsic value. Now, speaking of intrinsic value, moving on to our number 5 character on the list is of course Moira. Now, the trick to mastering Moira in low ranks is mastering her movement. I say this again and again because guess what? Moira can actually frag and she can do so much damage, and the beauty of it all is she can be spazzing out, like actually having a seizure and still be perfectly accurate. What I mean by that is she can be moving left, right, crouching, jumping, whatever she wants to do. I wouldn't really suggest jumping typically, but Moira gets to move like a crazy person. And the reason that that's so powerful when she is perfectly accurate is even in the higher ranks. If you're crouching like crazy and moving and juking, Hanzos, McCrees, so many different characters are gonna miss you even in some of the higher ranks. So when you start to drag down to some of the lower ranks, Moira can just be this unkillable threat that has her own form of heal, that has a fade to fade away from CC or multiple enemies attacking her, and she can be perfectly accurate. Now, at the same time, she could heal up her tanks, provide a burst of heal, and then go and get some value in other ways. Go chase down targets with her team, and a lot of DPS characters are going to get so frustrated going up against a Moira with good movement. So this is one of those characters that just brings so much value at the lower ranks, and it's pretty easy to get some free wins with her. Now, move on to the next character that we got for you on the list, and it's none other than Winston. Now, with Winston, it really depends on what you're up against. If you're up against some of the suggestions I talked about, like Roadhog and Reaper, then Winston's probably not your best pick, and maybe you'd be better off with something like Wrecking Ball. However, against certain characters, especially characters that are very popular in lower ranks, characters like Ana, characters like Genji, and just some of these characters that really can't punish a Winston very well, you can get so much value. Just walk up to people, start zapping them, they run away, you chase after them with your leap, and you get a free kill. It's pretty simple on Monkey, and a lot of times enemies don't really have the focus fire to punish a Monkey, because that's one of the big fears when you start to get some of that communication, is that a Monkey will take fire from everyone. He jumps in and everyone will focus him down. But when you are up against a lot of players in the lower ranks, they will just run away. They will run away from a Monkey. But if you try to route close to them, get close, start doing damage, then you keep your leap to chase after them, you're gonna get a lot of kills that way. And he's one of those characters that against the right compositions can just farm them. Straight up just farm. I'm talking golden limbs, gold damage, whatever you need. I mean, you're just gonna kill everybody on Monkey. Now we're going to the next character that we got for you on the list, and it's of course Pharah. Now Pharah is one of those characters, kind of like Monkey, against the certain compositions. When you see the right checkboxes, you play Pharah. Up against certain compositions that don't have a hit scan, compositions that are playing really annoying characters like Mei, like Junkrat, like Symmetra, like Torb. Pharah just absolutely farms these characters, and with the pocket, you can even take on a lot of the hit scan characters as well. Now, I'm telling you, it's really easy to push past some of these points that traditionally might feel terrible to push past. Think about like Eichenwald first point, right? Taking that first point is pretty difficult, but I can't tell you how many times that I've VOD reviewed a player and they've walked up to the enemy team and it's something like a Rhine, a Zarya, a Brig, a Mercy, and then 2 not hit scans, like Junkrat and Mei, or just something random. And it's like, go to spawn, go play Pharah, and then win this point for free. The enemy might swap, but just swap back. Just swap right back. Free value, free point, and sometimes the enemy won't even take that first point, and you're gonna win an entire game just based on 1 swap. Really, really simple and free value up against enemies that can't challenge the vertical airspace that you control. I mean, you're just gonna get value like that for free, and realistically, not a lot of great aimers, so you might be able to play Pharah in a lot more scenarios, and especially for you console players, I know that Pharah is one of those characters that is good in so many different ranks, and of course, you should definitely be grinding her. Now, moving on to the next hero that we got for you on this list, and I just talked about the counter to him, but I'm actually suggesting him here, and it's none other than Junkrat. And Junkrat is one of those characters that really punishes a lack of understanding and routing by the enemy. You can be playing on Temple of Anubis, for example. You play Junkrat on defense on that first point, and you're just spamming the right side near Mega, and enemies will keep routing there, and keep routing there, and keep routing there, and they'll never make a game plan to shut you down. They will constantly push into you, get you free ult charge, free value, and by the time they start to mix things up, you gotta tire. You shut down their next push. And on certain maps with tight corridors, we just talked about playing that Temple of Anubis first defense. You could even play something like on Eichenwald third attack. There's a lot of different maps that Junkrat is really powerful on, and he's, in my opinion, one of the best flexible picks that you could swap to get some intrinsic value, which is what I talked about before with Reaper and Moira. Value that you don't even have to work for, value that you don't have to have skill for, and those easy wins, come on, you deserve those wins. When you have throwers and levers and terrible teammates, sometimes getting the free win is exactly what you need to balance out your win rate. So on those close games, you can work really hard and flex your skill to climb in those games and get that 65-70% win rate to climb to the next rank. Now moving to the next character that we got for you on the list, character number 9, and we have Ashe. Now Ashe might just be the best true hit scan on the list, and I say true hit scan because technically Reaper and Tracer's a hit scan. I mean, technically Roadhog's a hit scan. We're not gonna get into it. Ashe is just one of those characters that is in that sweet spot. She's not Widowmaker, where she's kind of feast or famine. She's not a McCree that has to rely on his teammates, and she just gives you that flexibility of that consistent dynamite damage, the ability to reposition against divers with her coach gun, and just output consistent value, and all that combination of things is just really, really powerful. Now, of course, with that pocket, she's going to be even a tier better, but even without the pocket, Ashe is a perfectly reasonable character that is good in pretty much every single composition outside of dive composition. But even then, if you position correctly on the high ground and look for really, really powerful dynamites into the enemy backline, you can still carry with this character really easily. Now, moving to the last character that we got for you on the list, and you know her, you love her, and it's none other than Brig. Now, Brig just has one of the highest win rates in low ranked. If you compare it on Overbuff, you look at the win rates, and it's just ridiculous with Brig. Brig is just one of those characters that does so much automatically, and it makes it a lot harder for your team to die. The fact that she can put in attacking power at the same time as increasing the sustain of your team, the fact that she just overall has a huge fight convergence with her ultimate and just pushing W as a team. Brig is a character that you don't really have to master. You really don't have to learn that much. All you have to do is try to keep that inspire percentage up, and that alone, you keep a high inspire percentage up, hitting consistent flail and whip shots, and you're gonna climb. That's pretty much all there is to it. Brig is just a great character, especially now with her buff up to 175. She's seeing a lot more play behind the scenes, and going forward, she is just one of those characters that is really good against a lot of the diver-based characters in the game, like Wrecking Ball, like Tracer, like Genji, and the list goes on and on. So these are the top 10 characters to get you free wins under Masters, but the best way to climb to Masters is by improving your personal skills on the GameLeap website with in-depth VODs, advanced tips and tricks, and much, much more. We update our website daily, so do yourself a favor and go check it out in the links down below. But thank you so much for coming by. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time, of course,